Good morning. This is Morning Real. If I see it, I review it. Hosted by yours truly, Ray Salazar. It's a 3 to 4 to 100 minute or so podcast of films that I review. And I've always wanted to see this film, but this is a film that really requires like your time, like your personal time, because the people who made this film, as much as it doesn't even look like it, they put so much into this to make it look like it's just one evening. This film is called My Dinner with Andre. It's a 1981 comedy drama film directed by the great Louis Malle, written by Wallace Shawn and Andre Gregory, who both star in the film, playing themselves in some weird way. Produced by George W. George, that's a weird name, Beverly Karp. Cinematography by Jerry Sopanen, edited by Suzanne Barron, music by Alan Shawn, and distributed by New Yorker Films. This film had a budget of $475,000 and made a box office hit at $5.2 million, which is, even at that time, and especially the type of film that it is pretty monumental. When you look at this film, and I really hope you do because it's available on Max, and honestly, you can probably find this on YouTube for free, with or without ads, right? And it's about these two friends, right? Wallace Shawn, he's a playwright. He's struggling to make money as a playwright. He lives in New York. It's the 80s. He can't get the work that he wants to get. He soon meets up with a friend to have dinner with named Andre Gregory, who's a pretty good theater director, right? At least that's what it seems like it to be. And he hadn't seen this person in a while. Nobody knows around the theater community what happened to him. There's only like things, like little rumors here and there. But it turns out that this guy went away for 5 years in Poland doing some experimental theatrical work. And he gained a new perspective of life, being basically away from his family, away from his surroundings, away from what's natural to him. And he comes back, and you can tell it's almost like he's a different person, but he's not, because although he's gotten a new vision of life, of people, especially outside of New York, and especially in the 80s, he doesn't forget where he came from, And I think that was the thing that Wallace was trying to like figure out, because Wallace, he's lived his life in the city. He's a city kid, and you can tell like in the first act and in the third act, which is like the ending of this film. Like, I don't know why it made me feel a little emotional. I well, just to put it quickly, man, it's like watching a Joe Rogan podcast, but filmed by Louis Malle, filmed with pretty good cinematography. It's just not a guy who's literally pushing 2 or 3 buttons going from one angle to another. Like, no, there are close-ups, there are reaction shots, there are wide shots. Sometimes the shot sticks to the character who's not talking, just to see, like, for a 111-minute film, the things that these people talk about, even if like it has nothing to do with like what your field is in life, it still resonates. At least to me, it does resonate. I can't say about you, right? But like, these people are like, they're older folks. Some of them are in their 30s, 40s, or whatnot. And even at that age, at that time, with the careers that they have, they still have this type of displacement. Like they get moments, they have days of depression, days of like, what am I doing with my life? They have those types of thoughts where like they're not sure of what they were doing in their life. They don't know if it's the right thing. Like, some of them question whether they should just give it all up and like find something else to do. But at the end of the day, you realize who you are, you realize who you're with, and if the little small things make you happy, like, reasonable small things, then go with that and make better choices or make better things out of it. I like this film a lot. Like I said, it does take a lot out of you, but you're just intrigued about what Andre Gregory says about people, right? Like there's people out there, especially like in Poland or just in Europe general, who like they don't work. Like what they do in life is like they do theater related stuff, and to them it's the biggest high you can get. It's just a different life, and Wallace was trying to have a hard time to like accept that because this guy's from New York. Like his simple pleasures are having a cup of coffee, getting the paper that's delivered by the newspaper person, things like that. In his defense, he feels like you shouldn't like go on a psychedelic slash pseudo experimental retreat to find yourself or to you know to make sense of what's in your life. Like it's funny that they talk to each other to pretty much figure that out, and it just takes people to do that, honestly. I mean, after all, you're going out there and you're meeting others, right? So you are meeting people, you're getting a different discourse of life, and when you come back to your surroundings, there's somebody out there who's gonna like kind of not put you back into your place, but like kind of remind you like, hey, like don't forget this is where you came from, and we got it good. Them over there in Poland got it good. you know if I need to go on a retreat, I will, but I probably won't, because just walking down the street to go to your favorite cafe just to have a cup of coffee, that already makes your morning, that already makes your day, and it puts you to a certain focus into life. It's crazy how this film still resonates to this day, as far as like the things that Gregory talks about, which like how media is today, how corrupted our political systems are, and how they trying to brainwash people into thinking that it's just work, 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 pay taxes, and like there's no sense of like self, there's no sense of fun, like it's being sucked away. And in a weird way, theater is like one of the few things, as far as like entertainment, right, that takes you out of all those things. It doesn't make you think about like, oh man, I gotta pay the bills. Like theater is not the greatest like entertainment field to be in, as far as like making money. Like you're gonna struggle. It's a very, almost a personal thing. You're putting your whole self there, and you only hope that the person who's watching this will tell somebody else to come watch it with you, or tell 5 other people to do it. It's a bitch. But these guys believe in it because that's just who they become to be. And I've never seen Louis Malle's films, man. This would be my first one, and I gotta say, it really struck a nerve in me, a good nerve. It's fun seeing people talk, and this film's not like any other film, especially coming in 1981 or in the 80s period. Like these are literally two people talking to each other about life, and they still remain friends. And there's no really a conclusion to this film, but like if there's any type of conclusion, is that at the end of the day, whoever you're talking to, you may have your disagreements to certain things, but you still got your friend, and you would want that friend to have that certain disagreement, because then all you're gonna do is talk, and then sometimes you like to hear the other person talk. It's a pretty cool film, man. Like I wish I was there, like just sitting there and watching it all go down. And it's funny to say that this film was not shot in one night, nor was it written in a week. Like this film took weeks for it to like actually happen, to make sure that that it looks the way how we see it. And I thought it was shot pretty well, because I learned certain things about this film, as far as like the staging of it. Was it shot on location? I mean, you can tell when it is, but you cannot tell when it isn't. And that to me is everything in the film sometimes, especially a film that doesn't have any special effects. It's all about staging and the people. And I give a salute to Wallace Shawn, Andre Gregory, especially Louis Malle. You get to see Wallace Shawn say, what's that famous line that he has in The Princess Bride or whatnot, inconceivable. But he says it so nonchalant, so low key, like you're like, oh, he said it. And like, I mean, maybe that's where it came from, I don't know. I wish I was there back in the time where they were doing theater. I don't know if they still do it, but it sounds like a fun thing to be a part of, you know, even if you're a witness of it. And I'm very happy to see this film. I don't know if it won any awards or whatnot, but honestly, like, people will say, yeah, Tom Green, he's the guy who, you know, he did the first podcast. He's before Joe Rogan. Okay, cool. This film is before Joe Rogan. This film is before any other podcast. I mean, radio came before all this stuff, but like, but if we're talking video stuff, like, this is like the first scripted, shot, and edited video produced podcast. And look where we are now, talking about life. Joe Rogan, he just had Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery in his podcast for 3 hours. And I was just like, what the hell, dude? Like, those two wrote Pulp Fiction together. Like, one of the most iconic, not even the most iconic 90s films of all time, but one of the most iconic films of all time. And in that podcast, they're talking about all kinds of things besides film. Like, they try to relate it to like life. And guess where that stemmed from? From this film. I would give this film like an easy 4 out of 4 toes. E-Zone, gotta see this film, man. Like, yeah, you know, like, there's other podcasts out there that does the same shit, but nah, dude, like, this film did it first. And the things that like Andre Gregory says, and like how Wallace Shawn like rebuts it, you know, it's a nice, friendly conversation. They're having dinner together, and it just seems like the nicest thing to watch, you know. And overall, that's what I like. Follow me on Morning Shot Films. Check out my website, morningshotfilms.co. Next week, I will be putting out the film Goodfellas with E-Zone and Xavier Guerrero. To me, it's a Christmas film of some kind, because, you know, the gift keeps on giving when it comes to these mobsters. But there comes a certain time where all things that go up must come down. Thank you.